There has been a ton of speculation that this is the week that Nintendo will finally pull the curtain back and reveal Nintendo Switch 2. Now, there are a couple of reasons for this, and there's also a couple of reasons that I think maybe make it not very likely that January 8th, the day in particular that has been brought up so many times, may not actually be the day that Nintendo decides to do this. So today we are going to talk about all of this stuff and what is going on this week in particular that has people hyped for a potential reveal, and also what might be happening that maybe discourages Nintendo from doing so. So before we hop into all that, make sure you hit that subscribe button and like this video so you guys are kept up to date with everything going on here at Trendtendo. We are on a goal to hit 4,000 subscribers. So if you enjoy this type of updates, make sure you hit the button and enjoy the ride as we get closer to hopefully this reveal that we're going to be talking about today with Nintendo Switch 2. Now, as I said, there are several things that have made people be hopeful that January 8th is the day that Nintendo will finally pull back the curtain, as I've said. Now, the first thing is that a Chinese leaker over on Weibo, which is a Chinese social media site, has said that that is the day they believe this will be unveiled. And he's done so by doing a countdown in the Fibonacci sequence to be able to end at 0 on January 8th. Now, this is with some precedent, I guess you could say, because he actually did unveil, some stuff about the Nintendo Direct early last year that ended up becoming true. So people have given some credence to what this guy has to say because of the things that he got right previously. Now, that does not mean that this, I think we've learned with leakers over the past couple of years at this point is that sometimes they're right and sometimes they're wrong, and you don't even really know if they're an educated guess or if they really do have inside information. We've seen even Pioro get stuff wrong because his information was bad, and that when his information's good, it's on fire, and when it's not good, they're wrong. So we'll have to kind of wait and see, but that is one thing that people have really pointed to maybe just think that Nintendo is going to make this reveal on January 8th is because of this Chinese leaker. Now, this week we also have CES, which is a technology expo in Vegas. Now, this week in particular, on Tuesday is when this event starts. So one day before the reveal date, supposedly, Genki, which is a manufacturer of third-party accessories for Nintendo consoles and for other gaming accessories as well, they have actually come out and said that they will be talking about their stuff for Nintendo Switch 2 on Tuesday. So there is going to be more information. Yesterday we talked about the Joy-Con leak for Switch 2. There's been the motherboard leak in the last week. There's been so much stuff that's popped up with the dock. Basically, the only thing we haven't seen is the front of the Joy-Cons and the screen. Like, outside of that, we've pretty much seen everything with the dock, the Joy-Cons, and the motherboard. Like, we know what is going to be on the Switch for the most part. We're just kind of waiting for Nintendo to actually show this off. And now we have a third-party developer or manufacturer that makes these accessories. They're going to be talking about what they're doing for Nintendo Switch 2. And if they're making, we've talked about this potential mouse Joy-Con that they may or may not be putting on Nintendo Switch 2. If Genki's making something for that in particular, or for whatever the gimmick ends up being, because it looks like there's going to be something with this Joy-Con and with Nintendo Switch 2, they might be spilling the beans for Nintendo early. So if that is the case, if they are going to talk about this on the 7th, if Nintendo gets out ahead of this, I think Nintendo is going to show a tweet or something. They're going to let people know that, hey, we are going to talk about Nintendo Switch 2 tomorrow. They are not going to just blindly drop this thing on social media. They're going to give us a warning. We've seen the roadmap with Nintendo Switch 1. They gave us the tweet, and then the next day they talked about it. Well, I think this is going to be something similar. They're going to give us a tweet or an Instagram post or whatever the case is, and then they're going to talk about it. Well, if they do that, the day that they would give that notice, it would be on January 7th, which lines up with what Genki is going to end up be doing. So even if they talk about it, Nintendo's not going to be that far behind. So based off of those couple things, I think that's what's got people talking that Nintendo might be showing off something here soon. Now, they are not part of CES. They're not going to be there at CES. They're not going to unveil this thing at CES. But because of other circumstances, other third parties at that event, that might be something that Nintendo has taken into account and be aware of, that they're going to be talking about. They're going to want to talk about their products for our system. Let's go ahead and get this thing announced, because if they do it on Wednesday, that gives them another basically 3 days if you count Wednesday. They'll reveal it in the morning probably, so that gives Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, to have CES part of the event. You know, they can talk more about Switch 2 and things like that in that nature. Now, as I said, those are some things in favor of this happening on January 8th. You know, they've got some information that's going to be coming out, and we have this alleged leaker that has been pointing to a January 8th reveal. Now, we've got to talk about why this may not actually happen on January 8th at all. So the first thing being, it could be too soon after Christmas. Now, personally, I don't buy too much stock into this, but it is something that gets brought up a lot that, you know, so I think you have to kind of at least mention it. With the holidays that have just happened, you know, you had Christmas, you've had Hanukkah, people have gotten Nintendo Switches for those events, you know, for those celebrations. Is this too close to the end of those holidays to be announcing Nintendo Switch 2? You know, you're going to have all these kids and all these parents who just bought or received a Nintendo Switch, and now you're going to throw a Nintendo Switch 2 out there as far as, you know, hey, this is coming soon. Like I said, I don't think that is a big a deal. At this point, the Switch has been out 7+ years. If you're just buying a Switch now, there's probably a reason that you're just buying a Switch now, or, you know, you're not an early adapter, so even if you don't want to get a Switch 2 right away, it's fine, because Nintendo's also going to be supporting the Switch for a little bit, so it's not like you're going to be out of luck. There's still going to be games to play. There's going to be a lot of stuff for you to have on the current Nintendo Switch. So personally, I'm not a huge believer that this is that big of a drawback for Nintendo, but it is something worth mentioning, I think, at this point. Now, the other thing we got to talk about is Donkey Kong Country. Is this too close to the Donkey Kong Country release date for Nintendo to say something about Switch 2 as well? You know, what does that marketing cycle look like for them? Are they going to want to be continuing to hype up Donkey Kong Country this week because the release is, you know, the week after? It's on the 16th. So is that too close? I don't know at this point. You know, I think we talked about this a little bit earlier in the last week. It does seem like it might be too jammed together. They might want to give some time to breathe between Donkey Kong's release date and then, you know, this announcement. So that would put us in the range of that 28th, which is the other day that has been talked about. So if it doesn't happen on the 8th, the big question would be, is it the 28th? And that's, I think, where we also have to kind of worry about what Nintendo's plans are, because like I said, with Donkey Kong Country, they might not want to be too close to that event. And if they show this thing too close to Donkey Kong Country's release date, there's not going to be one person who cares about Donkey Kong Country. They're going to want more about Nintendo Switch 2. You know, they're going to actually shoot themselves in the foot as far as Donkey Kong Country's marketing cycle is concerned, if that is the plan. You know, if they feel confident with what they've done so far, you know, let's show off Switch 2. We don't really care that much about Donkey Kong Country right now. Maybe that is something that they do, and they could go ahead and do that on the 8th. But if they really just want to kind of give Donkey Kong Country its own room to breathe, I think that's where the 28th makes the most sense at this point. So given all those kind of factors right now, you know, with the Chinese leaker, with CES going on, and Genki kind of talking more about some of their products that they're going to be creating for Nintendo Switch 2, and then Donkey Kong Country's release date, I think, kind of backing up, you know, it's kind of an interesting topic. You know, is this going to be revealed this week or not? And I think the consensus right now is that most people probably would think that it's the 28th, but I think there's still a lot of people that are hopeful and believe that the 8th will be the day that this thing is officially unveiled to the public. So at this point in the video, though, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts down below on all of this. You know, do you think that any of these are deterrents or are, you know, indicators that Nintendo might actually reveal this thing this week on the 8th? Or are we still going to be sitting and waiting for a little bit longer? You know, with all the leaks and things that have been popping up, it is interesting to think that this thing is getting closer, because those things don't pop up until we get close. And even if it is the 28th, that's not that far away. So I think we are within the next 30 days. I believe we will see something from Nintendo about Nintendo Switch 2. It's just a matter of, is it this week or is it in 2 or 3 weeks from now? So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts down below on all of this, and when you think Nintendo will actually draw back the curtain and give us the grand unveiling for their next system. Hit that subscribe button and like this video so you guys are kept up to date with everything going on here at Trendtendo. Again, we are trying to hit 4,000 subscribers, so I really would appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. Thanks again for sticking around to the end, and until next time, catch you later.